Hello there YouTube friends and subscribers. Now what we're having a look at today is this little fence that has nearly come to the end of its life, I think. You see the posts are shot. It's a little dwarf fence, so should be quite easy. So what we're going to do is measure up, see what materials we want, and see about replacing it. Well, what we're going to do is, we've got the post out, is saw this up into bite-sized pieces so that it's easy to handle and remove to the bonfire. Right, so there's your fence in a nice neat pile, and of course by not just shattering all the feather edge boarding off, you don't have a stack of timber with nails sticking out of it. So there are no dangerous nails in this pile. So there's the old fence line cleared, so we can have a good shot at what we're trying to do. What I have noticed is that this post in the corner here is probably worth replacing, because it's never going to be easier than it is now to sort that out for the front fence. So there's a bit of additional work there. I think it's probably worth taking on. Right, what we're going to do here is just shorten our post to here and put a slight bevel on it, which I don't really like doing because that's going to open that up, but we can use some wood treatment on it after. Put your square on it, and if you haven't got a square, just use the saw, which obviously creates a square. So we're going to put our square on there, mark this side, and then we want to put what I'm going to do is choose to put a fall on there of 1 inch. So using the tape, we'll select an inch fall, something like about that, and then we'll cut this off. Right, here's our 4-inch post in the hole, and we're just going to check it with a spirit level now to make sure we got it up straight. So you can see that wants to go a little bit to that brickwork, and this side wants to just come up to the left a little bit. Right, what we're going to do here is just test the height, the size of this stuff. So this is the gravel board, and this is one of our fence boards, and the total distance is 1.2, just under 4 feet. So we know the overall height of our fence now. Now what I'm doing now is just getting a general lie of the land here. So we can see roughly whether the ground goes up or down, and I'm fairly lucky here because it seems to be almost level. So we should now be able to fix a line at 1.2, and then we'll know how high our posts are going to be, and then we can dig the holes to suit. This string line represents the very top of our fence, so we know exactly how high our posts want to be, and that is below that line. We've got a total length of, I think, 7.3 here, so that means we're going to put 2 more posts in, and they will be approximately 2.4 apart. Now the good thing with doing a proper fence is that unlike with panels, your panels restrict you to where your posts are going to go, but when you're doing one of these proper post and rail fences, you can stick your posts where you like, within reason. So apart from the fact these proper fences will last forever, whereas the panels only last for a couple of years, it's a lot easier to build in as well. And we've had a nice little bit of exercise there. I discovered that there's a manhole here, and I didn't want to get involved in the footings of the manhole, so I've moved the hole slightly along to our left. And the other hole, which you may encounter in these established gardens, is bloody great roots. Well, you've just got to use the tools available and remove said root, because it's only a little bit of exercise after all, guys. Right, now rather than putting concrete in the hole for some other poor sap to dig out another day, what I like to do is just use fragments of brick, and we'll ram that in the hole, and that will be equally as good as concrete, except you won't have to use a jackhammer to get it back out next time. So we've got our posts in nice and straight. I've taken away the bottom line now because it was annoying me, it's in the way. So what we know now is that when we put our fence pieces in, they're going to reach that string line up there, about there, and then the gravel board is going to be there. So if I had another hand, I would mark that now with a pencil, and then we can fix our gravel board. The thing to bear in mind is, there's one I've already done, the gravel board doesn't go straight against the post, because the gravel board is going to sit, when we use our rails, we're going to rebate this rail and cut a bit out of it here and here so that it reaches through to there, but it will be kind of half on like that, and we'll use the thickness of a piece of gravel board to mark that. But then to make up the ground, we're going to need to put a little fillet of gravel board on the post, which will make sure that when we put the whole length of gravel board on top of that, the actual fence boards will come and sit right down on top of it. You'll see in a minute when I've set some more of this out. Now I'm just quickly showing you an alternative method of fencing. This is a nearby house. They have not rebated the rails. What happens is when you get down to ground level, you need to use a 3x2 packer, something the same thickness as the rail, to accommodate your gravel board. So that's just a different style. That's our gravel board fixed into position with the little packer piece, and when we now come to use our normal fence boards, they will come up to that line, which I hope you can now see, and they will fit perfectly. So what we're going to do next is fix the rails on, 2 rails, top rail and a middle rail, and then we'll be nearly ready for the last part of the job. For the bottom rail, we're going to come up 180 millimeters and put a nail in there so that when we put our bottom rail across, it'll have something to rest on while we mark it for cutting. We're now going to cut a rebate in the end of this rail so that when it sits on the post, it'll be correct for when we use the actual boards. So we're going to cut around that, which is our gravel board. So we're going to cut a piece out there of that dimension, which will be this bit, and then that will sit against the post. When you've cut the rebate out of the rail, that's how it's going to look against the post. These are just resting on these nails to help hold the thing in position. Some people actually like to have the rail tilting the other way so that any rainwater runs not into the post but away from the post. I think the jury might still be out on that. But anyway, so that's the bottom rail done. Now we do the same for the top end of the post. We've got our rails in place now, and all that remains to do is to fit the fence boards. We're just overlapping the boards by about an inch, and each one like to just quickly check the spirit level on it, roughly speaking, just so it looks neat and tidy, and when we're happy we can just nail that one up. Well, this is a bit of a surprise. Goes for a bit of lunch, comes back, and everything's still exactly the same. I thought this was one of these things that might do itself. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a post and rail fence. Not really just a Saturday morning job. Things always take longer than you think. You start digging and you find the holes are hard going, or you break something, have to get your neighbour to lend you something, crowbar maybe, pickaxe, sledgehammer. So what's the benefit of having a post and rail fence? Well, for a start, they last 3 times longer than a panel fence. They are easier in that the posts can be put in different places. You're not restricted to 6-foot spacing, which you are with panels. And to be honest, I don't think there's a great deal in the price. They probably take longer to do, but if you're not going to have to replace it again in 3 years' time, you're saving time in the long run. So thanks for watching anyway, and hopefully you found that interesting. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that'd be good, and you'll be able to see what else we get up to.